My name is Seraphina Vance, and 10 years ago, the graduating class of Oak Creek High voted me most likely to be forgotten. Last night at our 10-year reunion, I watched the three women who made my teenage years a living hell stand in the freezing rain, clutching their fake designer bags, while my chauffeur held open the door to a custom Rolls Royce Phantom. They did not know that the beat-up sedan I arrived in was a rental, or that the unemployed woman they mocked for 3 hours was actually the owner of the venture capital firm that had just acquired their husband's employers. It was a lesson in humility that money cannot buy, but it is certainly one that money can reveal. The decision to attend the reunion was not born out of nostalgia. For the last decade, I have lived in a world entirely separate from the small, status-obsessed town where I grew up. I left the day after graduation with nothing but a scholarship and terrifying ambition. Today, I am the founder and majority shareholder of Vance Global, a private equity firm. My life is curated, private, and immensely privileged, negotiating major deals that shape the skylines of major cities. When the invitation arrived, I felt a strange curiosity. I wanted to see if the people who define themselves by high school popularity had evolved. To test this, I devised a social experiment. I would arrive as Seraphina, the struggling artist. I wanted to see who they were when they thought I had nothing to offer them. I flew my private jet into a regional airfield 2 hours away to maintain anonymity. From there, I rented the oldest, most dilapidated vehicle the agency had, a beige 2005 sedan with a rusted bumper. It smelled faintly of stale cigarettes and pine air freshener. I swapped my bespoke Italian suit for a simple, slightly ill-fitting floral dress from a discount rack, and removed my diamond studs, replacing them with cheap plastic alternatives. I wore no makeup, pulled my hair back in a messy bun, and wore scuffed flats. As I drove toward the Grand Oak Hotel, the car rattled and shook, a perfect disguise for the titan I had become. The anxiety I expected was absent. Instead, I felt the calm detachment of an anthropologist observing a primitive culture. The injustice began the moment I pulled into the valet circle. The Trinity, as they called themselves, was standing near the entrance. Brittany, Courtney, and Jessica. They had been the queens of the hallway, ruling with exclusion and cruelty. As my rusted sedan sputtered to a halt behind a line of leased luxury cars, I saw them nudge each other. The valet looked at my car with open disdain. When I stepped out, the silence from the Trinity was loud. Brittany, wearing a sequin dress that was too tight, stepped forward. She did not hug me. She just smiled that same toxic smile from homeroom. Seraphina, oh my God, you actually came. And look at you, keeping it real with the vintage ride. That is so brave. The other two giggled. Courtney chimed in with a voice dripping in false sweetness. It is so good to see you did not let the pressure of real life change you. You look exactly the same. Tired. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the immediate crushing weight of people who want you to fail? It is a specific kind of suffocation. Tell me in the comments if you have ever had to smile at someone who was actively insulting you. Inside the ballroom, the atmosphere was thick with desperation. Everyone was aggressively projecting their best selves. The Trinity cornered me almost immediately, steering me away from the open bar and toward a table situated directly next to the swinging doors of the kitchen. It was the reject table. They sat with me, not to catch up, but to use me as a prop to elevate themselves. They ordered a bottle of mid-range champagne and made a show of pouring me a glass, calling it a pity toast. Jessica, whose husband I knew from my research was a mid-level manager at a logistics company my firm was currently auditing, leaned in. So Seraphina, what are you doing now? We heard you went to the city. Are you still finding yourself? I took a sip of the overly sweet wine and smiled. I am working on some projects, I said vaguely. It is quiet work. I value my time. This was blood in the water for them. Brittany laughed, patting my hand with a condescending affection. Oh honey, that is code for unemployed, isn't it? It is okay. Not everyone is cut out for the corporate grind. My husband Chad just got promoted to regional vice president. We are looking at a second home in Cabo. It is exhausting being successful, but someone has to do it. They spent the next 2 hours talking over me, comparing the square footage of their houses and the cost of their children's private preschools. They treated me like a ghost. an invisible audience member to their performance of mediocrity. They bragged about leased luxury cars and credit card vacations, unaware that the woman sitting quietly across from them could purchase the bank that held their mortgages without making a phone call.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
The struggle was maintaining my composure. I wanted to correct them. I wanted to tell Jessica that her husband's company was 2 weeks away from bankruptcy due to mismanagement. I wanted to tell Brittany that the exclusive vacation spot she was bragging about was a resort I had considered buying and rejected because the infrastructure was failing. But I stayed silent. I listened. I let them fill the silence with their insecurities. I realized that their cruelty was not about me. It was about their terror of being ordinary. They needed me to be a failure so they could feel like winners. Every insult, every side-eye, every comment about how hard the economy must be for people like me was a brick they were using to build a wall against their own unhappiness. I sat there, polite and small, enduring the humiliation to confirm what I needed to know. They were exactly who they had always been. The turning point came when the check for the table arrived. The Trinity made a great show of calculating the split. Brittany looked at me with mock sympathy. "Do not worry about it, Seraphina. We have got you. Consider it a charity tax write-off for us." She winked at the others. "We know you probably cannot swing $100 right now." They laughed again. I simply nodded, whispering a thank you. I stood up, smoothing the wrinkles of my cheap dress. "I should go," I said softly. "I have an early morning." They waved me off dismissively, already turning their backs to scan the room. "Drive safe in that thing," Courtney called out without looking back. "Hope it starts." I walked out of the ballroom and into the cool night air. It had started to rain, a heavy, cold downpour that was soaking the valet stand. The Trinity followed a few minutes later, loudly complaining about the wait time for their Ubers. They stood under the awning, shivering. I walked past them, stepping out into the rain. Brittany shouted, "Seraphina, where are you going? Your car is probably flooded. Come wait under here. Do not be tragic." This was the climax. As they jeered, a pair of blindingly bright xenon headlights cut through the darkness. A vehicle approached, moving with a silent, heavy grace. It was not my rental. It was a Phantom extended series Rolls Royce, painted in deep midnight blue. The car was massive, gliding over the wet pavement. The Trinity went silent, mouths slightly open. The car pulled up directly in front of where I was standing. The back door opened from the outside. My driver, Charles, who had been with my family for 6 years, stepped out. He was in full uniform, immaculate despite the weather, holding a large black umbrella. He walked around the car, ignoring the stunned crowd, and approached me. He stopped and bowed his head slightly, a gesture of profound respect. "Good evening, Miss Vance," Charles said, his voice deep and projecting clearly over the sound of the rain. "I have your luggage loaded. The pilots have completed the pre-flight checks. The jet is fueled and ready for your departure to Paris, whenever you are." The silence that fell over the group was absolute. I turned slowly to face the Trinity. They were frozen, their eyes darting from the Rolls Royce to Charles, and finally to me. The realization hit them like a physical blow. The dress was a costume. The silence was boredom. Brittany's face had drained of all color, her hand limp at her side. The dynamic of the last 10 years shattered in a single second. I did not yell or brag. I simply looked at them with a neutral, calm expression. "It was enlightening to see you all again," I said, my voice steady and clear. "Thank you for the drink. It reminded me exactly why I left." I turned and stepped into the back of the Rolls Royce. The interior was a sanctuary of cream leather and lamb's wool carpets. Charles closed the heavy door with a solid, reassuring thud, sealing out the cold, the rain, and the smallness of the women outside. As we pulled away, I glanced out the tinted window. They were still standing there, huddled together in the cold, watching the taillights of my life fade into the distance. They looked small. They looked trapped. And for the first time in 10 years, they did not look like bullies. They just looked like strangers I used to know. The drive to the airfield was peaceful. I opened my laptop. I had a merger to finalize in Paris, a deal that would secure jobs for thousands of people. The reunion was over. The experiment was concluded. I had my answer. Vindication is not about proving people wrong to their faces, it is about outgrowing the need for their validation entirely. I left them in the rain, not out of malice, but because that is where they chose to stand. I was moving forward, faster and higher than they could comprehend, and I was not looking back. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to enjoy more revenge and inspiring stories like this one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments and tell us what you think about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.